the good life, full of fun.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. I'm thinking we're gonna take a trip to Parma, Italy. Doesn't that sound fantastic? There was a recipe that my grandmother used to make when I was a little boy, and it's Anolini. It's a like a mini round ravioli. They're simple, they're easy, they're fast, they're a lot of fun to make. And they're fun to make with your kids. I can remember making them with my grandmother. She always had a piece of plywood and a big simple rolling pin, and she'd roll out these huge thin sheets of pasta dough, and we'd fold it over and make Anolini. Now Anolini traditionally is served in a broth, so you can use a chicken, a beef, a lamb broth, a veal broth, whatever you want to use there. As I got older, I found that I often would like to make it with a red sauce, you know, a pomodoro sauce. But today we're going to do something certainly much more traditional. We're going to serve the Anolini in a broth. The science behind pasta is this. It's 100 grams of flour to 1 egg. Now, the problem you run into is all eggs aren't exactly the same size, the moisture of the pasta is different, so there's always going to be a little bit of movement there. Now on flour, I've got just shy of 4 cups of flour or 500 grams of flour. Now you can use semolina, you can use durum, you can use double O. I always like to mix about 1/3 to 1/2 of semolina or durum with the double O. So that's what I did today. And I've got 6 whole eggs. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to put 5 eggs, and I get a little crazy, I'm gonna pour 1 egg yolk. So what I've got here is I use a teaspoon of olive oil per 100 grams, or if you will, essentially per egg. So I've got 5 teaspoons of olive oil. Now there's some great olive oil you guys can get. I'm gonna plug it here in a minute. Vito and Joe's the only way to go, okay? And then what I use is 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt per 100 grams. When you're talking salt, I like to use either gray, the French gray sea salt. It's definitely more briny. Or I'll use the pink Himalayan salt, which why? As you guys know, it's sexy. So I've got pink Himalayan today, okay? So that's our pasta ingredients. Now we're gonna talk about the Anolini. We wanna stuff them. They're like a mini ravioli, okay? So what am I gonna do there? I've got a little bit over 1/2 of a cup of ricotta cheese. I've got 3 tablespoons of mascarpone cheese. Oh, just absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna use 1 whole egg. Now the egg is gonna add flavor, but the egg is also going to add some binding ability. So as you know, when you cook an egg, it denatures the protein, so it gives some stability. Got some nutmeg. Oh, some of you guys make your comments because I like to smell everything, but it's so much a part of cooking. And there's, oh, the nutmeg is just fantastic when you mix it with the ricotta cheese and the mascarpone cheese, and you mix it together in a savory type filling. I'm telling you, there's nothing better. It's the only way to go. Now I've got 2 whole tablespoons of Parmesan, in this case Parmesan Reggiano, and I've got Pecorino Romano cheese here. 2 tablespoons of Pecorino Romano, and I've got 2 whole tablespoons. Again, oh, Vito and Joe's olive oil. So when you smell olive oil, good quality olive oil, which is what I make on our farm, you're gonna smell the olive. You know, it's gonna smell that earthy, grassy. We're gonna put some basil. Just a backdrop of basil, just a little bit of basil in there, which will complement this perfect. Now I've got 2 quarts of chicken broth here. Now you need an Anolini stamp. Here's the key when you're gonna make an Anolini. So you want a blunt edge. So this is gonna be a perfect size. This is actually like a liquor shot measurement, okay? Don't ask me why I have one. But in any case, you're gonna see the edge is blunt. And by being blunt, when it pushes through the pasta, you want it to seal the outside. If I use something sharp on the edge, it won't seal it, so sometimes they'll come apart or they'll break apart. Obviously, we're gonna want some black pepper, fresh ground. That's the only way to go, as you guys know. I told you before, we're gonna spice up a few other things. We've got some pink Himalayan. It's sexy, and you know what I'm talking about. And then olive oil. So I've got to do my plug with you guys. Now, I've got Vito and Joe's. I own a farm in Italy. It's in Puglia. It's just above the heel. It's in a little village called Vico del Gargano. It's ancient and it's beautiful, and it's on the hillside and overlooks the Adriatic Sea. And we make our own olive oil. So I work with a group of farms to bring you the best, I think, certainly maybe I'm a little biased, but the best olive oil on the planet. And we ship it right here to the United States. It's earthy, it's grassy, it's got a good pepper kick to it. I call it a trip to Italy right in a bottle. And listen guys, if you go on my Facebook page, Cooking Italian with Joe, or you go right down here in the description, or you go right to our webpage, cookingitalianwithjoe.com. You can order a bottle of olive oil. We'll drop ship it right to your front doorstep. At a great compliment to any kitchen. All right, so what do you say we cooking? First thing I want to do is I want to make my pasta dough, because the pasta dough needs to rest. Today, for the sake of time, I'm going to make everything right here in the mixer, okay? So I'm going to grab a paddle. I'm going to pop it in there just to get started. And then I've got a dough hook. And then in order to get everything nice and thin rather than hand cranking, I'm going to use my press right off the KitchenAid, okay? So I'm going to mix my dry ingredients first. I'm going to mix my flour, and I'm going to put my salt in, and then I'm going to put it on low. I want to incorporate everything nice and slow. Now I'm going to prep all the eggs before I put them in the blender, because I don't want to crack them over the flour for the sake of getting any shells in there. And then I want just the yolk on this last one. Now I'm going to put my olive oil right in with the eggs. And to make sure everything's really well incorporated, I mix everything with a fork first, and you're just going to pour your eggs right in there. You got it on the lowest setting. Now I'm going to let this mix with the paddle for, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That's it. And once everything's really well incorporated, then I'm going to put the dough hook on. See how that sticks together really good? So it's only been literally, like I said, a couple of minutes here. Now I'm going to put the dough hook in, and I'm going to let it go here for probably 5 minutes. And there's our dough. Now I want to rest it. So grab some plastic wrap, grab your dough, and then just get it nice and tight. You don't want it exposed to any air so it develops a skin. We're going to keep it room temp for 30 minutes minimum. Now we got to make the filling for the Anolini. Started, I'm going to put my cheese. So my Romano, my Parmesan, my Vito and Joe's olive oil. Did I plug that yet? Did you guys go online and get a bottle of that yet? My mascarpone cheese in there. Ricotta cheese in there. Oh, look at that. My nutmeg, my egg, fresh ground pepper, probably looking at about a 1/4 teaspoon to a half. Now in salt, we just want to pinch. Salt's going to enhance the flavor, but we already have some salt in from the Romano cheese. Last, I want to add some basil. Now I've got about, say 7 leaves, larger leaves. Oh, it's so aromatic. I mean, you cannot beat that. So simply stack them, and then what to do is tightly as you can, roll it. Now what I like to do is cut it, if I want them small, I'm going to cut it in half like this first. Then I'm going to cut it across. And I mean as small as you can get it. Boy, it smells good. And then what I do again is cut it across, because I want it as small as I can get it. And then I'm going to take my basil, add it to your filling. And now you're going to stir up your filling. Ooh, that smells good. Now all these flavors are going to marry, so I want this to set for a good 30 minutes, 40 minutes, stirring it a couple times at room temp, just to get all those flavors perfect. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. Got my dough. A couple of tips here when you're rolling out the dough. Keep your plastic close, because you're going to only use a piece at a time, and you don't want this to dry out, okay? Number 2, really important, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Got to make a transition. So there's a red button right down here. When you click on the red button, what it does is any of my new trips to Italy, any travel tips, certainly any of our new recipes will come right in your notification box. So you'll know exactly what I'm doing, and you can check it out on your leisure. And I'll tell you, when you subscribe to my channel, it truly means a lot to me. And hey, it makes you part of the family. You know what I'm saying? Now I've got some extra flour just to prevent any sticking, okay? Got my dough with plastic wrap. Got a rolling pin, and I just got a baker's knife. So you're gonna take a small piece of dough. I'm gonna put just a little flour down, and I'm just gonna roll it out just a bit to get it started for my pasta roller. Now whether you're doing this with a hand crank or the machine, you want the rollers on the largest opening, and then you're just gonna put it through. Now fold it over once, and the first one I'll usually run through about 4 times. Perfect, there's my 4, and then I'm gonna go down 1, increment at a time, fold it. Now the key here is you want to keep it square. So what I do is anytime you see something come out of square, just fold it in. Try to keep that shape as true as possible, and then put that end through first. And that'll give you as close to a square as you can. What you're seeing now is you're starting to see the pasta becomes transparent. You can start to see through it. And this is our final one. And now to store it, just take some flour, put it over the counter, and then you don't want to have it touch until it's floured. If it does, she's gonna stick. So don't worry now if it gets a little dry, okay? And then just hit it with some flour as you let it set. I'm gonna keep cranking. You're gonna go online. You gotta take your mouse or your finger on your cell phone, click the subscribe button, and you gotta grab yourself a bottle of olive oil. I'll keep making pasta, and I'll talk to you guys in a few minutes. So here's all our pasta. All right, so I'm just gonna lay that out here. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take one sheet. First thing I like to do is just do a half, put a mark in my pasta. Okay, so now I know where that half is. You see what I mean? I just crease it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my filling and I'm gonna go a thin layer of filling over the pasta. And I'm just gonna spread it. You want an even layer of cheese. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your other side here and you're gonna fold it right in half. And then give it a good push down. Nice and even. You don't want a big lump in the middle and thin on the outside. If you do, you can just move it around, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my, in this case, again, blunt instrument. We're gonna make our Anolini and we're gonna basically go like this and give it a turn, okay? And then just give it a tap, and there you go. Isn't that fantastic? And see how the sides are nice and sealed? So I'm gonna go ahead and keep making Anolini. Don't forget, grab your bottle of oil, subscribe to our channel. Talk to you guys in a few minutes. All right, 4 days later. No, I'm just kidding. I got them all cut on a plate, ready to go. Now the goal here is to get the stock hot. Just on the bubble, not a rapid bubble or boil, but just on the bubble. That way when I put my pasta in, it's gonna cook and solidify almost instantly. If it's not hot enough, what can happen is the pasta will start to open up. Temp's right where I want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting these in. You just go one at a time so nothing sticks. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. You wanna be really gentle. See how everything's still perfectly intact? All right, to serve this, I'm gonna grab 1 ladle of pasta right in there. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna grab about 2 ladles of broth. And now I'm gonna grab just a little bit of the green, just a little bit, and then some Parmesan cheese. Oh boy, does that look good or what? Okay guys, my favorite time, it's taste time. So I'm gonna grab just one of those, with a little bit of broth. Oh, I'll tell you, the first thing that comes out is the chicken broth, and then you can smell the cheese. Pasta's perfect. Just got a little chew to it, that al dente, and then you can feel the cheese come through, and you got the Parmesan, the ricotta, and you got that dense cheese with the mascarpone, and you can get the olive oil and just a hint of the nutmeg. And just the right amount of basil in there. It's just the right amount. It just gives you a little bit of a flavor to it, but it doesn't overpower it. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right down here. I'd love to have you part of the family. It certainly means a lot to me. Make sure you go on either our Facebook, Cooking Italian with Joe, or on our website, Cooking Italian with Joe. Grab yourself a bottle, trip to Italy, right in the bottle. We'll drop ship it right to your house. And remember guys, shut off the cell phones, the TV, the computer, shut everything off and get in the kitchen, and especially these Anolini. It's such a beautiful, fun recipe to make with your kids. Make a mess in the kitchen, have some fun, celebrate your heritage. Most importantly, set some traditions that'll certainly last you and your children a lifetime. Talk to you guys next week. Mwah. Bon appetito.
Good life, full of fun, seems to be